What's going on YouTube? Claykeys back again with another trial guide for Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, and today we're going to talk about how to kind of wail out and beat the Malboro trial. I know the Malboro trial was really sickening, really tough. I know I'm getting this video out a little late, but this may be able to help some people out there who are trying to find a strategy that isn't just as RNG as it is with Rikku. The Malboro trial, in my opinion, was kind of poorly designed, and I think a lot of the fights, I hope they don't start going this way, but the Malboro trial, everything just smacks you so fast that it's hard to decipher what exactly is going on, and so you've wasted a ton of energy slowly picking out what happened to you and finding out. I mean, even if you Libra, you're kind of dead anyway, so just to figure it out, it's kind of like a waste almost, in my opinion, on these fights. Like, you don't have time to Libra if you want to be on these turns, so essentially, what happens in the Malboro fight, you got big Malboro, you got two little baby Malboros, you need to kill both the babies at the same time. If they dip below 10%, they're going to explode, do massive damage to you, and come back to life. The reason you need to kill the two babies at the same time is because if you do, the big Malboro, who has insane defense, who can't be hurt, who has a million stats on him, will soften his skin, which means you can actually hurt him for 2 turns, okay? So kill the little Malboros. When they blow up, he softens his skin, and then you can hit him for 2 turns, and then you go back into the rotation. Guys, the rotation is 4 turns long, meaning you need to kill those little shits in 4 turns. If you do, he won't eat one of your people. And what I mean by that is like Snort. You know how Snort used to happen where he'd snort, the bosses would knock somebody out of the ring. Well, he eats you, he consumes you for 2 turns, and he spits you back out. And we're trying to avoid that, and you can as long as you kill both of the little Malboros on turn 4. It'll skip that. Another thing about Malboros, and you guys probably know about them, is they do a lot of status elements on you. Like status effects, you're getting blinded, sleep, paralyzed, confused. We're not going to worry about that too much because the way we build up here, we'll have ribbons, discernments, and other ways to negate that kind of stuff from happening. But that's going to be a way to avoid that. And then also, we need to have some dark resist, which we'll have in our squad because the little ones do a little bit of dark damage. All right, guys? So we'll go over the team, and then I'll go step by step, turn by turn. What I did every turn to end up beating it, I think it was in like 13 or 14 turns. In my video I recorded now, the game crashes on me on the very last turn. And if the game crashes on you, what'll happen is it'll reset the turns in some weird funky way to where you're just going to start the fight over with this strategy right here. Now, if you're using a Rikku-based strategy, and what that strategy entails is you take a Rikku or 2, you just do as much damage as possible, and then you build up enough Limit Burst crystals on Rikku to use her Limit Burst. Everybody dies, comes back to life. Do it again over and over and over and over and over again. You kind of aren't listening to the mechanics. Now, that is a strategy you can try. I like more controlled strategy with this strategy right here. I was trying to Rikku one. It was kind of just like, what am I doing? I'm trying to smack it in the face and skipping all the mechanics. And it just didn't feel right, and I actually couldn't pull it off that way. So this is the way I ended up coming down with this. So let's look at Wilhelm. First thing you're going to need is a tank, and you're going to need a tank, one that can survive. You can see here I have 761 defense, 11,000 HP. I don't think you need exactly those stats, but you're going to be able to have to survive every hit with him because you're going to take all the damage with Wilhelm. The problem is this boss can chain on you sometimes randomly, also can crit you, and that can be bad. When the boss hits 50% threshold, it will buff its attack, its stats up, and it'll take 1 turn to smack you with those things up. Wilhelm's going to have to survive, or you know, your Warrior of Light or your Veritas of the Earth. They're going to have to be able to survive this, and honestly, I think you're going to need to take Wilhelm or Veritas of the Earth for this strategy, as you're going to really want that Limit Burst that negates, that mitigates damage as Wilhelm has. You can see here, this is how I built him up like this, just as much tankiness as I can get put on this guy, because essentially his turns are going to be like Provoke. Attack 50% up, I think is what it is, and his Limit Burst up. So we're going to put that up so he can get his Limit Burst faster, and A2 can get hers, but it's pretty easy there. And then you're going to just Provoke again, essentially, or use his Limit Burst. I'll show you on which turns you want to be doing that. Moving on, you guys are going to need a healer in this comp. Now, again, this comp is very strict on what you can bring. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's not like you can just start mixing and matching characters out. Like, for this certain strategy, you kind of need all these characters. I know that kind of sucks. It's a really welly strategy. But this is how I did it. I wanted to share. So, you can see here with my Tilt, I made sure to throw a ribbon on her. With my boy Wilhelm, I just wanted to make sure that he would not be, confused, right? So he wouldn't, paralyzed, excuse me. He wouldn't be paralyzed. And other than that, he does have an innate 50% there to resist that, but it's fine. So then we have Tillith here. We put a ribbon on her to avoid all the status elements. Tillith literally is going to do this. Literally, this is all she does. On turn 1, she's going to buff up all of your stats with her stat buff thing because nobody's hurt. Then after that, it's heal everybody 100, heal everybody 100, heal everybody 100, heal everybody 100. That's all she does. She will literally do nothing else on your team. Sorry for hitting the mic. She will do nothing else. That's what you need to focus on here. So you just need to make sure she's taking enough to survive. And then on top of that, has enough mana regeneration where she can do that for the 12, 14, 15 turns we're going to need to beat this fight, okay? So here's my build with Tillith. Moving on, Ace, MVP of this fight, baby. Ace is going to be on a lot of your guys' teams. I did not give his enhancement enough credit after I've used him in this fight and then started using him around. He's great for 2B, Onion Knight, A2, anybody out there who can imperil on their own. And he's an insane mana battery. In here, I did throw a pod on him, pod 153. This is to use the physical damage mitigation by 40% on the turn that the boss kind of like wigs out and is mad after the 50% threshold, okay? I am unsure if this is exactly necessary, but I like to play on the safe side. You can see here I threw a ribbon on him so he can avoid all the status elements too. You guys he doesn't really need that much magic, because what he's going to be doing is, yes, he's going to be tri-beam lasering that's fully enhanced. This is a fully enhanced Ace on his tri-beam laser and his helping hand. He's going to be there to put our MP up. He's going to cast Ifrit for us. He will have the Ifrit on us, and he's going to tri-beam laser to lower the elemental resist. We are going to be fire chaining on this boss. The boss only has, you know, the big Malboro has 50% increased resistance against light and dark. Obviously, they had to do that because light and dark is what we like to chain with. Thank you, Gumi. But if they don't have any, you know, you could do fire, take it down by 75% as Ace does with his tri-beam laser, then chain the shit out of him with fire, and it'll be pretty awesome. So that's what he's going to do. So here you can see this is how I built my Ace. You want him to be able to survive the hits, and then also, you know, after that he's using Helping Hand, and Helping Hand has like so many different mana that they can give back, but Helping Hand, even the lowest one, is enough to kind of get us through. You're just hoping to smack one of those big ones, okay? So that's Ace's role. And then we have our damage dealer. And here, guys, I found A2 to be the better than 2B. Honestly, because of the Limit Burst of Berserk, we can kill this thing really quickly and stay in control of the fight. You can use double 2B if you would like. It's going to take longer because the single target damage isn't that great on the boss. So how do you want to equip your A2 or 2B in this fight? This is how I did it. You definitely want to have a non-elemental weapon in one hand and then a Crimson Saber or some other great sword that has fire on it in the other hand, so similar to the Vargas TM that I didn't get. Anyway, you can see how I've got them equipped. Another thing you need, so you need a fire greatsword or fire weapon. You need a pod 153 because we're going to be using that chaining ability from pod 153 to be able to take everything down equally at the same time. The two little Malboros down at the same time and kill them on turn 4, okay? If we look at abilities here, you do need some type of status element mitigation so you don't get that taken to you. Nullification, so there we go. We have a discernment there. So that's how you would build an A2, and this is what you're going to be looking for when you're looking in your friend list, okay? Moving on, we have Veritas of the Dark. This guy is very important also. What does he bring to the table? Honestly, you build him however you want. Just make sure you can survive. He's not here for damage. He's here to use his Limit Burst at the end to kill off the boss. But other than that, he's not here for damage. Turn 1, he's going to be casting his dark resist on everybody to get that up, and he's going to make himself resist to a lot of status elements, allowing him not to have a discernment or ribbon or the 7 TM on him at all. He's going to be able to resist all those status elements just fine. The next thing he's going to be able to cast is his break, his 45% AoE, everything full break kind of thing going on, and we're going to be able to use that to be able to do more damage to the little guys because they could be broken, and that's what we need to use there. And then his next thing he's going to use is the 20% damage mitigation that he can put on everybody. That's very useful too. Those are like that's what he's casting. Another thing is we're putting Odin on him so he can finger snap, so he can dispel the big boss when the big boss does buff itself. That's what we're going to be doing. So that's the main team here, guys. We're going to get into the video. My face is going to disappear. We'll just talk about the video. I'll have like lettering up here to tell you guys what to do turn by turn. And hopefully you guys can build this or work it out in a way that you guys can at least understand how the fight's supposed to go, so you guys can use your team and find a different strategy to use. Okay, guys, so you can see here that I have my friend unit. We're going to look at them. They do have the Crimson Saber, the pod, and the ribbon. So I'm looking over that, and then we're going to get into the fight. Turn 1 is going to look like this. We're going to provoke, or we're going to use his impregnable on Wilhelm. It's his better provoke. We're going to use Tilla to buff up our team. Ace is going to go ahead and use tri-beam laser. And then A2, both the A2s are using Mirage, which is the pod chaining ability. And then we're going to use Veritas' ability to put up Dark Resist. And what we want to look for here, guys, is on turn 3 is when we're looking to use A2's Limit Burst. So by turn 2, after everything happens, we're going to want to hopefully have the Malboro down, the little tiny ones, down to around 60 to 50% to make sure we can kill them after using the Limit Burst. Now, you want your A2 Limit Burst maxed out, so when you're looking at our friend, that is important too. And you can see Wilhelm here is just countering his little heart out, getting up those Limit Burst crystals that we can use. So now Wilhelm's going to go ahead and use our attack boost and our Limit Burst boost up. Go ahead and use that. Tillith, again, is going to do nothing else in the game right now except for go ahead and heal us all back up. Ace is going to put up our MP. Veritas is going to use Impact, which is his break, and then we're going to use double Mirage again. And we're going to wait until the Impact hits, just so we don't mess up our Mirage chaining, because it is kind of rough here. You want to make sure you're doing as much damage as possible when you're chaining these two abilities. You can see here I did not perfect chain, but you kind of don't want to perfect chain. You can see here I've already got it down to 52% after using, well, I guess it doesn't really matter here, but you need to be careful with this. You do not want to push the boss to 50% too soon. You'll see in a minute how much damage we do. But you could perfect chain that and get it up to a huge chain, but there are some times when I just felt like I didn't want to push too much damage. So in this turn, we're going to have double Limit Burst by our A2s, and that's going to give them that attack boost, which is awesome. I'm going to cast Impregnable by Wilhelm here because I need that up for later turns. The next turn, I'm casting Limit Burst. And then we're going to use Offensive Barrier to put up on us, and then Ace is going to go ahead and do mana. That's all he's really going to do. We want to make sure Veritas of the Earth and Wilhelm do not run out of mana. Our A2s are going to be okay, and so are Tillith. So you can see here he did a lot of damage. Again, Wilhelm just taking it up like a beast. And he's hitting back and getting us Limit Burst crystals. Now you can see here we have it at 42%. Let's say the little tiny Marlboros were around 62%. I would use Ace's Tri-Beam Laser to try to chain and do a perfect chain with double A2 with the Mirage, but that didn't happen. We're using Great Wall here because he tends to do a lot of damage on turn 4. When you do the whole like kill the Marlboro thing, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Your A2s do damage themselves because of the Limit Burst, so we have to be careful of that. So here you guys can go, and then we're just going to put up our mana again, and we're going to do so much damage. You can see here the game normally crashes a lot, so you're going to have to be careful of that. And there you go, they're dead. So now we have broken the Marlboro. He's going to use the softened skin here in a minute. Skin softened, excuse me. And that means we can be able to go in and do a lot of damage to him. But on this first turn, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead. Because remember, now it starts to return. So we have 4 turns to kill those little Marlboros, or he's going to eat somebody. So we can see here we use General Battle Cry, because we don't need to provoke here because we used it before. And then we're going to go ahead and use Tri-Beam Laser because they are new Marlboros. They need to be weakened. We'll use Impact also to weaken them. And then we're going to use double Mirage because, again, this is turn 1 of the 4 turns to kill them. So I know that we can do a lot of damage to the big guy, the Great Marlboro here. And this is going to do plenty of damage, but I'll show you guys here in a minute. If you single target him, we're going to get him down a lot. Now we can just sit here, and this is what you could be doing with your 2Bs. They wouldn't be doing that much damage, of course, because they wouldn't have the Limit Burst on, although 2B's Limit Burst is pretty good also for damage. But yeah, this is why I like A2. It's very controlled. So this turn with A2, we're going to go ahead and use Offensive Heal combo. We need to make sure we're provoking with Wilhelm. We need that up every turn or we will lose. Again, healing with Tillith because that's all we do. This is a turn I use Ifrit because we can damage and get away with it. We don't really need mana here. As you can see, it's not that big of a deal. Defensive Barrier with our bro here, our Dark Veritas, and we're going to use both Offensive Heal combo. Now, do not perfect chain this again. We do not want to get him below, I'd say, about 64%, because we don't want to hit 50%. You can see the damage here, it's insane. So we got the 64, which is kind of like a perfect thing for us. We do not want to bust him below 50%, until the second turn, so it'd be like turn 9. The reason for this is after you bust him past 50%, it is like a 3 turn before he kills somebody and sucks him up. And it doesn't kill him, but sucks him up. And so we kind of negate that by only flipping him onto turn 9, then we end up killing the little ones. You'll see here in a minute. So we want to make sure our heal is, our provoke is up, so we're using it here. Spirit Hands, we need to get our mana up. We do need to cast our Dark Resist again. That needs to be up every time. That's why it's a 3-thing combo. And we need a Limit Burst. Again, this is turn 3 of our thing here. So we Limit Burst. We see we got the Marlboros to 50%, the baby ones, so it's going to be kind of close with this. I do not know. I cannot remember if I used Tri-Beam Laser here or not, but again, that is a way to chain it up and do a little bit more damage if you were to Tri-Beam Laser. Now, you're not doing it for the, you're not doing it for the Imperil because they're already imperiled. You're using it to kind of like help with your chaining. So this turn, we are using the boost for Limit Burst. We're healing up. Defensive Barrier, obviously, for physical damage resistance, and then we're using both Mirages, and I don't know what I decided to do here. It'd be cool to see. Did I decide to do Tri-Beam Laser? Okay, yeah, I was worried about not being able to kill him, so I Tri-Beam Laser and chain it up. That way we get a couple Spark Chains in there, and we just do a little bit more damage, and make sure we kill them off. So there you go. We killed them off, and that was turn 4 now, so the turns reset. This is turn 1 of the 4 turns, but we are going to push past 50%, and things are going to change a bit. You notice how I'm not using Wilhelm's Limit Burst all the time? It's because there's specific turns I want to use it. Like once we pass the 50% threshold, which we won't do this turn, so I'm making sure I'm pregnable. I'm making sure that I have the provoke up. I'm going to heal everybody up with Tillith, and then I have to use Impact and Tri-Beam Laser, remember, because the little tiny Marlboros are not imperiled and they're not, you know, the defense isn't down because they're new. So we need to make sure of that every time. And we go ahead and use Mirage. And I'm kind of hoping here not to push him past 50%. We want to get him as close as possible. 53, that's awesome. That's where we wanted him. And then he goes nuts on Wilhelm, like always. Sometimes you can get unlucky and they can just kill Wilhelm. Like if your Wilhelm doesn't have enough defense or health. Again, my Wilhelm in this video, I was pre-recorded. I did change my Wilhelm up a little bit after getting CMs. You can see he only has 10,000 health as compared to the 11,000 before. Ace is a little different too. But yeah, so we use a Bisque Guard here because we need to reset our Dark Resist. We heal everybody up. We did use the Limit Burst from Wilhelm, and we used P-Shield from the Ace because we need to make sure we have as much physical damage resistance so Wilhelm doesn't die to this buffed out, raged out Marlboro. Now see here, we're going to use offensive hunt combo. We really kind of want him to be down as close to 30% as we can. So we got him to 29, which is pretty sweet. Not the worst thing here in the world. And then that was the 50%. So you can see Wilhelm survived because of the Ace 40% physical resistance on top of Wilhelm's own Limit Burst, stacking with that as physical. If it names it specifically like physical or magic resist, and then you have a damage mitigation, they will stack because they're two different things. We use Finger Snap here on the big boss to get rid of his, so you see, and I checked to make sure I got rid of it, to get rid of his buffs that he put on himself. We're going to make sure we are always provoked with Wilhelm, heal up, and then, you know, we have to do our Limit Burst. This is turn 3 of our 4-turn process here. And you see the Marlboros? Ooh, they're 53%. That's pretty high up there. I don't like that, but we have to use Spirit Hand here because we do not want to run out of mana on our Veritas of the Dark. It is very, very important. So... Again, we're doing, you know, Paralyzing Touch doesn't really work because we have the Jeweled Ring. Sadly, our Wilhelm is blinded because we didn't have enough ribbons or discernments, etc. to put on him. So he does get blinded and we're not getting those Limit Burst crystals like we'd like. But hey, man, I got to work with what I got, and the same with you guys. We'll have to do the same. So on this turn, we have to kill the 2 Marlboros off. So that's what we're going to go for here. Yeah, we have to, we're putting up our, I think this is our Dark Resist we're putting up because, you know, we have to do that. We make sure that's always up. Then we're using double Mirage here, which is pretty good, and we just try to kill them off. So that's why I use Tri-Beam Laser, because they were a little bit higher up. We kill them off, and there it is. They're dead. The Great Marlboro's a little mad about it because his skin is all softened up and ready to get taken down. Now, you can see I did Wilhelm last year, and the reason I used Wilhelm last year is I was hoping to get off his Limit Burst, but it just didn't get enough crystals off of the chaining that went to him. I got a little unlucky there. But that's all right. We'll end up living through it. And that is, look at this. Look at this turn. Is very, like, that is why you want the Limit Burst there. He does so much damage. You can see that the A2 actually just resisted death with her passive, which is what makes her so powerful. That's why we live there. It was actually very close. I died there several times. I had to do this fight several times to get done with it. So here we're going to use Tri-Beam Laser and Impact again because we have new little tiny Marlboros. We need to make sure they're going down. And we're going to use double Mirage here. And the thing about the big Marlboro is, I didn't mention in the beginning, is once you get him past 10% HP, he will have permanent skin soften there. Yeah, until he dies, I'm pretty sure. But we don't have to worry about that with this strategy as we get him down pretty hard. So there we go. That was the first turn of, you know, the 3 turns we have to kill him off. We have the Marbles down to 52%. And he's still skin softened for 2 turns here. So I think what I try to end up actually doing here is I attempt to just kill him because he's still skin softened now because of the 2 turns. Remember, the skin softens 2 turns, so this is the 2nd turn. So I think this turn I was worried that I would end up killing the little ones because they were at 52% here because I'm doing just so much damage to them that I said, I think, I'm trying to remember, if I go for Mirage, I'm trying to kill him. Yeah, I just decide here, hey, I'm going for it. We need to make sure that we use, we're just going to go to kill everything because he is still skin softened, and we're going to use our Limit Burst. I had never killed it before, so here I kind of mess up with how I'm chaining it a little bit, and it just freaks out. The game freaks out and just can't handle it. And, yeah, so I ended up not killing it because I thought I'd be able to do it, and I just ended up not having enough damage. I don't know if it was from the Veritas of the Dark breaking up the chain or what. So I get lucky here, and I end up not killing it. The problem with this is, of course, Veritas of the Dark's Limit Burst is now down, which sucks really bad. But the little Marlboros ended up not going below 10%, so we got lucky here. Later on other times I do this on my Twitch stream, I do a lot more control. There isn't like this craziness going on. So now that he's at 6%, he's permanently skin softened here, at least for the turns we're going to need him to be. It might even be 4 turns he's only skin softened. I think it's permanent, though. It wouldn't make sense for it to be 4 turns, and you couldn't kill him. I guess unless that's like their timer, like you must kill me in 4 turns. Anyway, so I'm sitting here like I actually like kind of lost at what I should do, because my A2s are no longer they are no longer you know, they don't have the limit burst anymore. My game crashes here and fucks everything up. I think I would have got the limit burst kill here. I ended up getting it later, like I said, on my Twitch stream. I did it in front of everybody, and it was a lot more controlled. My hands are literally shaking here, mom spaghetti, at how, because this fight took me so long to kill, guys. You don't understand. It was very fun, but I do feel like it's very oppressive to the community. But anyway, so I think I would have got it there with the ace limit burst, I do believe, on the killing damage there. However, it does crash. And I end up, like, I am really mad. Like, I remember screaming out loud, like, you son of a bitch, why do you crash now? That was the end, that was the end. So I made sure, I was shaking right there, I was like, oh, no, yes, no, yes. So I click yes, and we get back into the fight, and obviously, it shows him at 100%, but he's not. He's at 6%, that's why I click around, I'm scared. And I decide, okay, we're going for it again. I go ahead and have Ace use his limit burst, because he's going to be able to finish it with his limit burst. We're using, just for damage, we're using dual slices. We're not living another turn after this, we're just going for it. And then I think I just go here and go hard. The problem again is that our A2s don't have limit burst, which kind of scared me. So then I'm like, yo, cool, Tillith, put everybody's, you know, things up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and use Gaia's Wrath, just do a little bit more damage to make sure it gets done. You know what I mean? So, you know, they resisted a little bit, but it's okay, because the little ones do end up, like, resisting all elements eventually anyway, like with their little passive thing they get when they die. And then we go for it here, we're like, yeah, we did it! I was so pumped, I was like, please go to 0%, yes, please let me see everybody die. And I think because of this dual slash right here, because I saw Ace's limit burst go off there at the end, those two little dual slashes right there, I think, screw me over and cause me not to get the limit burst kill. But, yeah, that was pretty much it, so... I end up going back and getting it in much more control to use Veritas of the Darks, and it'll be really awesome. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you've taken down the Malboro, if you think it's just bullshit. And then subscribe for future content. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Catch you later.